look up to, well, as far as actresses and actors go, I like Julia Roberts. I think she's an amazing actress. I love her. And I like Ben Affleck. I think he's cute. And as far as music goes, I really idolize and respect Madonna. I think she's brilliant. I think she is just such a smart businesswoman, and I totally respect and admire that.
That was vintage Britney Spears on the red carpet. Her life has changed a lot. She's, she's older, but she's been under the control of her father for 13 years. He's been court-ordered in charge of her finances and her life. And she wants to get out from under all of that. And she was back in a courtroom today addressing the judge. Let's bring in two guests who know a whole lot about this. Joining us in Los Angeles, California, journalist with the Associated Press, Andrew Dalton, and in Woodlands, California, family lawyer Chris Melcher. Great to have you both here. It is a conservatorship, something like that, right? Is that what it is? I'm really struggling with that word tonight. But Andrew, let me start with you. What happened in court today? I understand Britney was speaking at length with the judge.
Yeah, Vinnie, those of us who follow this have been wondering for years what Britney thinks of all this. She's been almost completely mum on the subject for most of these 13 years, just giving off little hints here and there. And today she told us, and then some, how she feels, and that is that she finds the entire arrangement abusive. She compared herself to a slave a couple of times. She said it's utterly demoralizing, and that she wants her life back.
What was her demeanor like? Because a big part of this is, how is she? How competent is she? How does she understand what's going on? Was her demeanor today?
Yeah, of course, everyone was watching and listening to that very closely. And, she spoke incredibly quickly, which, the judge and the court reporter both had to stop her a couple of times just because the transcribing was tough. And, she definitely was full of emotion. She got choked up a couple of times. She was swearing more than you would ever hear in court. But at the same time, she never seemed, unhinged or in any way, crazy in a way that you would expect from somebody, who was in these circumstances. So, for the most part, she was fairly composed, all things considered.
All right, let me ask you, Chris, because a lot of people are upset that, and there's a big Free Britney movement going on. People are upset because they don't understand how someone who is an adult, who is able to go out and perform and earn money and do whatever she's doing, doesn't have control of her own life, and her father is controlling her purse strings and decisions that she can make. How is it that exists, and can she, on her own, end that?
So, Vinny, it doesn't make a lot of sense now. It made sense 13 years ago when we saw that she was struggling and, being tailed by paparazzi and triggered by them, and she needed help at that point. But here, 13 years later, and especially after doing a Las Vegas residency, that's a high function for somebody to do, work like that, grueling schedule. Why would they need a conservatorship? These are extreme measures. These are adults who have their liberty taken away because they can't protect themselves. To me, that should be obvious. We should know within talking to somebody, a couple minutes, we should know this person can't take care of themselves. They need protection. So it is a mystery why it's gone on so long. It has been a mystery whether she wanted it or not, because she could have asked for it to end and she didn't until now. At least she's spoken up. She still hasn't filed the request to terminate. That'll probably be the next step. But this was jaw-dropping today.
So, Andrew, let me ask you, how was this all received by the judge?
The judge said very little. She called Britney courageous for, speaking up and something that wasn't very easy to do in court. But she gave no indication at all, how she felt about everything that Britney said. Britney said she would like to be released from this without evaluation, and that's certainly not something that's going to happen. She's going to have to, demonstrate her competence to, an investigator and to psychologists and things like that. So I think, I think that the judge will take all that into consideration and take her wishes into consideration, certainly, but certainly there's a long legal process ahead.
Chris, how long is that process? I mean, and what's the likelihood that she could? I mean, does it come down to doctors making recommendations?
Well, Vinny, as you know, anything in court time is glacial. So I don't know that we're going to get a resolution of this even this year, because she's yet to file the petition to terminate. Then the next step would ordinarily be an evaluation by a mental health professional. I know the court would want that to happen, but can't force her to do that. If she refuses to be evaluated, the court could consider the refusal and denying her request to end the conservatorship. But to me, I mean, what's an evaluator really going to add to this? This should be obvious to the court whether she needs it or not. And even if the court had an evaluation and the evaluator said that she really needs the conservatorship, the court can disagree and end it based on her own testimony. So there's going to be a little showdown on whether this eval is going to happen or not. But ultimately, she's going to have to sell this. She's going to have to persuade the court. And this statement could cut both ways. She revealed a lot of things. If those statements and allegations that she made today aren't completely accurate, that's going to be used against her later on, that she's misperceiving events, and that could hurt her ability to get out from under this. I understand she's emotional and upset. Who wouldn't be if they were under this? But she really needed to come in cool, measured, understanding, acknowledging that she had problems before, and then saying how she's overcome those, how that's not going to happen again. I don't think she did herself favor by going out there today. It seems like it was against her lawyer's advice, and this was set up for let's hear from Britney status conference. There was no motion. So this has yet to play out, but it's going to be months, maybe next year.
Andrew, did she bring up the fact that she wants to get married, wants to have children, and she's being prohibited from doing that?
Yeah, those were key revelations today, and she said exactly that she wants to marry her boyfriend, that she wants to have another baby. She has 2 teenage sons now, and she said very specifically that she is being forced to take birth control, that she's being prevented from getting married like she wants, and that's actually causing a lot of outrage. The birth control aspect in particular, I think, is especially leaves a bad taste in a lot of folks' mouths. In fact, her ex-boyfriend, Justin Timberlake, is speaking out against that on Twitter right now, and the control that this has taken over her body. So there's a lot of speculation about what she wanted, whether she wanted to get married, whether she wanted to do more, have more family, and she revealed that very clearly today.
So let me ask you, Chris, you said these allegations, so would they have a almost like a trial to try to figure out whether these allegations are true, or how does that work here? Would there be testimony? Would people be subpoenaed, take the witness stand? Are you not preventing her from getting married? Are you forcing her to take birth control? Things like that. Would that happen?
It's going to need to happen if she files a petition to terminate the conservatorship. The court's going to have to hold a hearing. The court would hear from Britney, maybe an evaluator. The court may also hear from the conservators themselves. There's 3 of them involved. And they may have witnessed behavior that would show the need for continuation of the conservatorship. We don't know what's been happening. We don't know. There may be stuff on video that's going to be introduced. And conversely, Britney may have people that are close to her, that are seeing her daily activities, that can come in and say she's fine. And
let me ask you something, Chris. Does this only happen to people who are really rich and have lots of money? Or how common is this?
I've heard there's over 1 million people under conservatorship in the U.S. I don't know if that's accurate, but a lot of people are warehoused. I mean, these people, and maybe for their own protection, developmentally disabled, people who cannot take care of themselves, and they need protection. They're not going to get better. We don't hear about those folks. We're hearing about her because she's famous. And there's teams and teams of lawyers involved in here.
And she's working, and she's on Instagram, and she's dancing, and she's earning lots of money too. I mean, this doesn't make, none of it makes sense to me. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Andrew, let me ask you, Andrew. Her father, he wasn't there today, was he?
He was listening in, as was her mother, but he was listening in. All the parties were remote today, including Britney herself, taking part by phone and by Skype. So he was listening in, and he didn't say anything beyond, introducing himself as the lawyers did at the beginning. There was a long recess where he conferred with his lawyer, and his lawyer just came back and gave a very brief and very general statement about his loving his daughter. He's upset that she's in so much pain and that he misses her because they haven't had much contact in the last few years.
Unbelievable story. We'll continue to follow and track all of this. Andrew, Dalton, we appreciate you coming on. It's been a very busy day for you, and incredible insight, Chris Melcher. We thank you so much tonight.
Thanks, Vinnie.